Here are the very best strategies for successful online learning. You are about to get the most effective tips for taking and succeeding with your online classes. Some of you who are watching this are taking your online classes voluntarily. However, some of you others are faced with no other option. So in this video, I've got both good news and unfortunately some bad news. With online learning, you have the ability to take your classes and do your studying whenever you want. And that is both the good news and it's also the bad news. It's good because you get to control your time and take your classes and then study around whatever schedule is good for you. It's bad because you get to take your classes and study whenever you want. So let me ask, when do you want to go to class? When the heck do you want to study? But don't worry, I've got you covered in this episode. Hi, I'm Matt DeMeo, and welcome to my channel, Be Smarter, Faster. Thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss any of my new content. And hit that little bell icon to be notified whenever I release a new video. I also do my very best to read every posted comment, and I reply to many of them. So please post yours and don't be surprised if you hear from me. For many people, online learning may be harder, not easier than being in a classroom. That's because your discipline and willpower will really be tested a whole lot more. In fact, I saw a statistic that I found to be a bit shocking, and that is that 97% of all the people who sign up for voluntary online classes do not complete them. So the fact that you are watching this video helps push you towards that elite 3% group. Now this video is divided into two sections. In the first part, we're going to explore all the housekeeping and setup type stuff that you're going to need. In the second section, we're going to get into specific strategies that will help you absorb and retain the information from your online classes. So let's jump into what you need to do to mentally and physically get set up for success with your online classes. Here's a hard, cold fact of life. You will do best with the subjects you like, and you'll do your worst with the subjects you don't. I'm sure that doesn't come as a lightning bolt of new information. But taking classes that you don't like online, that only compounds the problem, because you're likely to find every excuse in the world not to work on it. Like I said, the hardest thing about taking online classes will be self-discipline. So you need to create the right mindset in order to be successful. Now, that may sound like some weak psycho mumbo jumbo, but when you come right down to it, your mindset really is the single biggest factor. You must find ways to hold yourself accountable. For your absolute best results, I strongly recommend that you mimic the actual classroom experience as closely as possible. In other words, do the same things you'd have to do if you were taking classes at school. The less changes you make in this area, the better your results will be, and the more comfortable you'll become with the whole process. So let's start by talking about your time management. If you were taking classes at school, you would have a definite schedule. So you want to set a definite schedule for yourself that you don't deviate from. It is too easy to put things off because you can do it at any time. You'll soon discover that any time is nearly the same thing as no time. Do not wait until you feel like you're in the mood to study. It'll rarely happen. You've got to do it even when you're not in the mood to study. By the way, for more tips on getting in the mood to study, watch my video called Get in the Mood to Study. Next, you want to assign a space to do your work. This becomes your school or your classroom. Use a desk or a table. I don't recommend taking your class or doing your study when you're in bed. Bed is the place where you relax, you watch your videos, you sleep. That's not the place to do your work. Get organized. Any little excuse or distraction is multiplied when you're taking online classes. Have everything you need near you so you don't have to get up and go searching for things that you know that you're likely to need. So keep all your essential materials, your books, your notes, notebooks, spare paper, your planner, blank note cards, to be able to create your flashcard deck, anything that you're likely to need. So again, you don't have to get up and go searching around for them. And for more information about taking notes and learning with flashcards, please refer to my video entitled Recall What You Study, Remembering What You Read. Get dressed. It's a ritual that helps you physically and psychologically get in the zone to get into the proper mental space to do your schoolwork. Remember, this is as much of a head game as it is anything else. So pay attention to your mindset, as we talked about earlier. Eliminate distractions. No TV, loud music, watching funny cat videos, no taking or making phone calls or sending texts. Again, you want to replicate what it would be like if you were actually in school taking classes. No multitasking. Do what you're doing while you're doing it. When it's time to study or take class, do that. When it's time to relax or goof off, then do that. It all comes down to self-discipline. You must be in control of you. This is why you have to have clear goals that you've committed yourself to. Concentrate, don't dilute your power. Focus increases your power without any more energy being used. Imagine being able to multiply your power without using any additional energy. Impossible? Well, think of a magnifying glass, and you got a hot sunny day and the natural sunlight doesn't burn the leaves and the critters. However, if you use a magnifying glass to focus the beam, you can easily burn the leaves. I know some of you as little kids were probably burning ants too. But if you think about it, no additional energy from the sun was being used. You just took what was already available and focused it. That multiplied its power. Your mind works the very same way. When you apply the idea of concentration, you can get your work done faster and easier rather than mixing in a ton of other stuff and having to work on your classwork that much longer. Concentrate, and then you can go do what you'd prefer to be doing. One more thing. Go to bed at a reasonable hour so you can get up in a timely fashion the next day and feel refreshed and alert. If you had to get up early to attend classes in high school or college or whatever, then be prepared to do the same thing here. Now here in part 2, let's take a look at specific things you can do to get the highest grade possible and do the least amount of work you can get away with. So the first thing is log in early. Now there's 3 important reasons that you want to log on as soon as your coursework is released rather than waiting on it. Number 1, reading and looking over your assignments sooner rather than later will give your subconscious mind that much additional time to begin working on what you need to learn. Also, number 2, you may have questions about the lesson that you need answered in advance of being able to complete any assignments that you get. Now look, usually you need to email your questions to your professor or your TA, and so it's unlike a classroom where you raise your hand, you get an immediate response. Sometimes it takes them a day or two to get back to you. You don't want to get jammed up because they didn't reply to you as quickly as you wanted. In the event you don't get a reasonably quick reply to your question, or you don't understand the answer that they gave you, email them again. Be polite. Something like, hey, I don't know if you saw my previous email, but I've got this question, and then restate your question. And the third reason, sometimes material is due in drafts. It's due in sections where you have to post some of your work before the final due date. For example, the final project may not be due until next Sunday, but the professor wants to see that you've completed certain chapters or questions by Thursday. So if you wait until Wednesday or Thursday morning to log in, then you're already behind the 8 ball. Make sense? Sure. All right, we talked about logging in early, but number 2, you want to log in often. Make sure to check your course a minimum of 4 to 5 days a week. You see, once you get into the online discussions, you're going to want to see who's commented on your postings, read the instructor's feedback. If you let too many days go by, you may wind up getting caught behind, and then you might find it difficult to catch back up. Make a detailed checklist early each week. Making a super detailed checklist of all the tasks and the subtasks that you need to get done has several benefits, has multiple benefits. First, it allows you to fully realize everything you need to do. So it gives you a whole overview. And that helps keep you on track. Now it motivates you 2 ways. Because it motivates you because you have a sense of accomplishment each time you get to check off an item. But it also helps motivate you by giving you that emotional push to get the rest of the stuff done and not to slack off. Break each big task down into little components and put them on your checklist. You may find it helpful to print out your checklist and post it where you can see it easily so you can see what's left on your list of things to do. Talking about printing things out, you may find it very helpful to print some other things out as well. It's often easier to work with paper than to keep everything on a computer, a tablet, or your phone. So some teachers will let you print out your assignment, let you send back a scan or a photo of your work. You're going to want to have a printout of your syllabus or maybe an overview of your course. Now let's take a look at things that you can do during the actual lecture portions. So first, you want to pay attention during live lectures and take notes just like in a real classroom situation. Pay close attention, take abbreviated notes so you may come up with your own little method of shorthand. Be sure to raise your hand and ask questions that you might have during live lectures. If there's a discussion, do what you can to participate in it. In other words, treat it like you're there in person. Now let's talk about pre-recorded lectures. So you want to get the pre-recorded lectures out of the way early in the day. So watch any of these pre-recorded lessons as early in the day as you can and take notes as you go. This gives you more time to do the things you actually want to do during the daytime. Also, mornings tend to be quieter, so you'll probably have less distractions. Besides all that, your mind is usually the freshest and most alert in the day. Later in the day, everything has been piling up, you'll tend to have more things on your mind. Now, I recommend watching pre-recorded lessons at a normal speed first. I think it's much better than watching at a faster speed and having to constantly stop, hit the pause button, back up. So when you watch it as it happens, it tends to keep you more focused. stopping and starting can cause you to get distracted with other things. For example, you might be tempted to text a friend or check your social media status while you've got the video paused. If you want to go back and review the lecture later at a faster speed, great, you can do that at another time. When you get to the part that you really need to concentrate on, then you can slow the video back down to normal speed again during your review. So here's what to do after your video lectures. Before you go off and do anything else, take a few minutes and write out by hand the most important parts of the lecture you just heard. Writing a quick review is the single best thing that you can do to put that information into your head. Create or join virtual study groups. Find ways to connect with others who are already taking the same classes as you are. Create small study groups. Video chat apps are a great way to do it. You want to build relationships with other students, introduce yourself, engage them in online discussion boards. Look, your peers can be a valuable resource when you're preparing for exams or you're asking for feedback on assignments. Chances are they will appreciate it just as much as you do. Always save your work. Nothing is more painful than having done a lot of work only to have it vanish because of some glitch. Be sure to save your work in several ways. Save it locally on your computer. You may save it in the cloud where you can easily access it from multiple devices. For example, create a draft version of an essay. If you're using a word processing app, if you're in Microsoft, you're using Word or WordPad, or if you're on Apple, what you want to do is put it in your word processing application, or you can even send it as an email to yourself. Then later, you can cut and paste your work into the course LMS. The LMS, the Learning Management System, is what a lot of schools call it. So when it's time to turn in your assignment, very easy to do it that way. I also recommend keeping a backup of everything on a flash drive. In conclusion, taking online classes is a lot different than taking classes in school. The goals here are to reduce your discomfort and vastly increase your results. The less changes you make with your online learning compared to the way you attend live classes, well, that'll make it that much easier for you. An appropriate way to think of this whole thing is that you're learning a new way to learn. Be committed to achieving your goals. Be self-disciplined. Go back and review the strategies and tips we covered. Apply what you've learned. You'll be far more successful than if you take your online classes in some haphazard way without a clear plan. If you have found this video to be helpful, please let me know. Give me a like, a thumbs up. Please post a comment. Help spread the word on your social media accounts. And as always, this is Matt DeMeo, reminding you that everything I teach does take a little bit of work and effort, but it is absolutely worth it. Always remember that the fastest way to get to the top is to get off your bottom. Thanks for joining us, and I will look forward to seeing you on my next video.